Greetings, Year 9s. This video will contain the content for the next 3 lessons, and there was supposed to be a test at the end of those 3 lessons. I'll probably postpone that test because I'm away, but I'll email you about that. Alright, if you pay attention and I do my job, then I should be able to give you an argument and you should be able to then map it. And vice versa. If I was to give you a map, you could construct an argument that fits that map. Quick review. Arguments have that 3-part structure. Premises that infer a conclusion. Premises, inferences, conclusion. Got to have all 3, otherwise you're not an argument. And we learn how to annotate those 3 elements in an argument, if you recall. So here's an argument. Derek is often late to class. That's a self-standing statement. So we bracket it and put number 1 because that's the first statement. And Derek is disruptive during lessons. Derek is disruptive during lessons is a self-standing statement, and it's the second one, so we put 2 around it. So is an important word. So is a conclusion indicator. We circle it. Derek is always getting into trouble with his teachers. So statement 1 and 2. So 3. So 3 is the conclusion. We underline it. Those are the 3 things that we did. And we did a bit of argument evaluation as well. But we never really used these numbers. They will become pretty important for argument mapping. So when we come to evaluate arguments, argument maps become just really, really helpful. If we can draw how an argument is structured, inferentially speaking, it becomes much more easier to evaluate it because it helps us identify which premises are the most crucial to the conclusion, and it'll help us test out the strength of inferences overall in the argument. So yeah, we still do all that bracketing and numbering stuff. Something cool that we learn from looking at argument maps is there's actually only 4 different types of reasoning. There's only 4 different types of argument maps. 4 basic Lego bricks, if you like, of argument maps that exist. So once you've learned these 4, that's it. There's no more advanced ones. All other arguments are some combination of these 4 basic types. Before I get into all of this, you should pause the video and go over to OneNote where this very first lesson is it should be in the argument mapping section, and the PowerPoint basically follows along. So I'm about to teach you about serial reasoning, so you can kind of track along in the OneNote, and there'll be questions, and you can pause the video, have a crack at the questions. So have that OneNote open, pause me, and then come back to the video. But yeah, so the first type of reasoning is what we call serial reasoning. In serial reasoning, one statement directly supports another. Life is short, so we should seize every moment. Clearly 2 is the conclusion here, and the way that we map it is 1 with an arrow down to 2. And yeah, the conclusion always goes at the bottom. We always draw argument maps from top down. So the last number, the number is statement number 2. So what this is saying is 1 gives support to 2. And 2 is the final conclusion. That's it. More complex forms of serial reasoning have more inferential moves, but basically serial just means like in a line, like in a straight line. So here's a serial argument with three premises. You cannot borrow my designer label shirt tonight because I want to wear it with my new trousers since I have a date with a beautiful girl. So 1, because 2, since 3. So the final conclusion is 1. And I'm just looking at this map going, it's wrong. But I'm not going to stop recording. The final conclusion is 1. And the reason for 1 is because 2. So 2 supports 1. But 2 itself is supported 2 since 3. So 3 is actually giving support to 2. That's a 3-2-1 serial argument. 2 is special here. So 2 is what we would call a sub-conclusion. I want to wear it with my new trousers since I have a date. So it's like its own little argument. 3 is the reason for 2. I have a date, so I want to wear my designer label shirt with my trousers. But the final conclusion is you cannot borrow it. So sub-conclusion and major final or final conclusion. But that's serial reasoning in a line like that. Serial arguments basically always go like this. 1 because 2 because 3 because 4 because 5, etc., etc. But you can also do it in reverse. You could say 1, therefore 2, therefore 3, therefore 4, etc., etc. That's serial arguments. All right. In the OneNote are these 2 questions. Why don't you pause the video and have a crack at these 2 serial mapping questions for yourself, and then come back to the video and I'll show you how to do it. All right, the first one, even though I labeled it number 2 in my PowerPoint, whatever. All right, let's bracket it. So many of the facilities at the zoo are in a state of disrepair. So it is temporarily closed for much needed renovations. Therefore, 3, you cannot take your children to see the orangutans this month. All right, that was all headed towards this one. That's the final conclusion. I've got 1, so 2, therefore 3. So 3 is down the bottom. 3 is supported by 2, which is supported by 1. Hopefully you got that right. Second one. I'm really sad because my horse was killed. Dang, that's dark. Because the Guardian outside Hyrule Castle shot it with a laser. 1, because 2, because 3. So where was this all headed? Where I'm giving reasons for my sadness. That's the final conclusion. I'm sad because my horse died. So 2 is the reason for 1, and my horse died because the Guardians outside Hyrule Castle shot it with a laser. Ta-da! 3, 2, 1 again. All right. You could pause the video and do a little create your own. 3, 2, 1. Maybe I'll just give you a quick example of a 2, 1, 3. Man, that would be tricky. So I'm gonna have to have something that's like. I usually like to bracket them first. So obviously, whatever my first statement. My first statement is going to be supported by the second statement. So it'll be 1 because of 1 because 2. 1 because 2. And it's almost like full stop. And then finally, the third statement. So that's what it's going to look like. I just need to put something in there. So I could say, like, I'm not going to write this in because it's too much trouble, but like, I'm not at school right now because I'm on maternity leave with a newborn baby. So you are receiving this lesson digitally. Brilliant. Down. That's a 2-1-3 serial argument. All right, divergent arguments. Divergent arguments, you have the same reason providing support for 2 or more different conclusions, which are not reasons for one another. So this is a pretty rare argument, to be honest, but it happens. So you have one reason leading to 2 conclusions, and so you have this unique scenario where you actually have 2 statements underlined. So let's have a look. The forecast is for a storm tonight. Therefore, you should drive home carefully and remember to close the windows in the house. So the reason you should drive home carefully is because there's a storm tonight. Right? That's why 1 is giving support to 2. You should drive home carefully because there's a storm tonight. But the storm tonight is also a reason to close your windows when you get home. So there's 2 things you can conclude from the storm tonight. So this is what we call divergent reasoning. 1 reason, 2 conclusions. All right, you should pause the video and have a go at these 2 divergent questions, and then come back to the video and see if you got it right. Right, welcome back. Hopefully you are not just letting the video play and you actually are having a crack at it. Let's have a go. I stopped for a couple of minutes whilst picking my nose and eating it right in front of the teacher during the examination. Right, that and is not separating 2 statements. I'm doing 2 things. I'm picking my nose and eating it, so that's not a break in the statement there. Therefore, I wasted valuable time during the examination, and the teacher presumably thinks I'm a disgusting individual. Right, 2 things. 2 things to be concluded. Statement 2, statement 3. 2 things are being concluded from this nose picking, that I wasted time and the teacher thinks I'm disgusting. So 1, nose picking leads to, is a reason for waste of time and is also the teacher's disgust. Divergent reasoning. Divergent individuals should run away from the city immediately because the erudite and dauntless factions are killing all the divergents. But that's a connective. In addition to this, something else I can conclude. In addition to this, the divergent individuals, they should make a secret plot to take my revenge on all those responsible. That doesn't make any sense, but I think I know what we're doing here. So divergent individuals should run away from the city because dauntless are killing everyone. So 2 is the reason why you should run away. But 2, the killing of all the divergents is also a reason why you should make a plot to carry out revenge. Divergent reasoning. All right, have a little go at a create your own. Share it with a friend. And then come back to the video. Alright, I'll have a go at one just to be a good teacher. Statement 1. Let's think about this. Statement 1 is supported by statement 3, and so is statement 2. So I kind of just need statement 1 and maybe like, and also statement 2. Because statement 3. That should give me this this structure here. What would it be? Statement 1, I am, well, it's two things I can conclude from one reason. I'm lying on my bed in front of my computer right now and also talking to a screen because I'm recording this lecture online. Amazing. Divergent reasoning. Alright, converge being the opposite of diverge. Converge is what you do with a like a magnifying glass. You get the sun's light. You know, you did this when you were a kid, and you focus it down, converging it to a point, and start fires and torture animals and whatnot. That's converging. Converging is like going in. In convergent reasoning, two reasons support a conclusion separately. Independent. These are two separate independent reasons. This is a very common way to write your essays in English. You've got your conclusion and you've got 3 paragraphs each that provide support for your conclusion. Very common way to argue. Multiple lines of reasoning. Let's have a look at the example. It's snowing very hard. The performance is not supposed to be all that good anyway. I guess I will stay at home. So this person is piking out. He's come to the conclusion he's not going. And he's got 2 reasons. It's snowing too hard. Guess I'll stay at home. That would be reason enough. But he's got another reason. The performance ain't going to be that good. Guess I'll stay home. Second reason. That's convergent reasoning. Here's another one with 3. Smoking is unhealthy, since it can cause cancer. Furthermore, it also increases the chance of heart attacks, and it has negative effect on your sporting performance. Wow, that's so 2, 3, and 4. Each of them are reasons why you should quit, and any one of them is like a separate argument, and could do the job of supporting the conclusion. It can cause cancer, so smoking is unhealthy. That's a standalone argument. Smoking increases the chance of heart attacks, so it's unhealthy. Separate argument. Hopefully you get the idea. Something I like to do in OneNote, and you might like doing when you do this, is use color. Color to highlight. Maybe it's too much hassle to bracket number sometimes, and color is like a quick way to do it. Unless the question asks you to bracket number. You kind of do need the numbers, right, to draw the maps, but sometimes you can just I do color maps. So like I highlight everything in color, and I might not do the bracketing and numbering if I'm in a hurry, and then I can just draw my map with pure color. You might like to do that, but all my answers are going to have numbers because that's sort of the proper way to do it. No, it's a good visual way to do big passages, big arguments. All right, there's 2 convergent questions. Pause the video, have a crack at them, come back. Welcome back. Let's go. It takes far too long to drive to Augusta and back to stay at our holiday home on the weekends, and we are in desperate need for extra cash. So we should give serious consideration to selling our home. Yeah, there's 2 reasons why you should consider selling your home. It takes too long to get to Augusta. We should consider selling it. We're in desperate need of cash. We should consider selling it. 1 is a reason for 3, and 2 is also a separate reason for 3. You bully me. I don't like you. You stink. So, I'm not inviting you to my birthday party. 4. Well, that clearly tells us this is a conclusion, and these are 3 separate reasons. That's a 1, 2, 3 convergent argument. Hopefully you're getting 100% right now. Alright, do a little create your own. That one's probably pretty easy. This one, kind of more fun. Yeah, convergent arguments, it's very common to have the very first statement as the conclusion and then to give your reasons. It's kind of what you do in an essay, right? You say what you're going to argue for and then you proceed to give reasons. Or you might have all these reasons, then boom, the conclusion pops out as the last statement. I'm not going to give an example there. All right, last one, most trickiest and most important maybe. Linked reasoning is where the premises depend on each other. They need each other. The premises don't support the conclusion by themselves. What distinguishes linked and convergent is linked premises only give inferential support to a conclusion when taken together. Like by themselves, they just don't actually support the conclusion. Let's have a look. Derek is an astronaut, and astronauts spend time up in space. So Derek spends time up in space. What makes these... So yeah, that's the conclusion, obviously. Statement 2, if I just came up to you and said, hey, did you know astronauts spend time up in space? Therefore, Derek spends time up in space. You'd be like, oh, okay, that doesn't make sense. I mean, you might guess that Derek is an astronaut, but by itself, 2 doesn't infer 3. You also need the fact that Derek is an astronaut for 2 to provide support for this conclusion. So 2 must be, 2 must be linked with 1, and we draw it like this with a plus symbol, and then we underline the 2 linked premises, and then draw the arrow coming down to the thingamajiggy, the conclusion. All right, pause the video, have a go at these ones. All right, this one's a classic. We've seen it 100 times. It is linked reasoning. All men are mortal. Socrates is a man. So Socrates is mortal. I guess you might be tempted to argue that it does seem like it might work like this. But it doesn't, because all men are mortal, therefore Socrates is mortal. It doesn't work because Socrates might be a god, so I do in fact need I need that too. So 1 doesn't support 3, it needs 2, so it's actually 1 plus 2 down to 3. If you like pizza, then you'll probably love calzone. And since you do like pizza, and we're having calzone for dinner tonight, you're probably going to love dinner tonight. Oof, okay, not one of those premises by itself is going to support this final conclusion. None of them provide individual support. They actually all have to work as a team. That's 1 plus 2 plus 3 down to 4. All right, do a bit of create your own. That's kind of the end of the lesson for teaching wise. The rest of the 3 lessons this week, practice, practice, practice. I'll put lots of questions in the OneNote. And if you finish them, I'll throw up some year 11, 12 level stuff for you to sink your teeth into. And if you can do those, you are 100% ready for the test. Be good to your relief teacher. Say hi for me. Work hard. And yeah, I'll see you when I get back.